Marketing has got a serious problem, and this is something that I identified when I was in charge of marketing for a $180 million a year brand, and I was working by myself. I inherited a bit of a mess when it came to all the numbers and the culture of the company. So very, very quickly, I began to identify an issue that was just not in that single company. It was everywhere when I got talking to people. And it's not AI stuff. Ignore that noise for now. It's something far more fundamental, and it's something that will matter to every single business around the world. It doesn't matter whether you're selling roof tiles, squeezy hedgehogs, or selling software. These fundamental stats actually matter, and what I'm going to talk to you about is the types of measurability that matter to us as marketers and business owners, because marketers don't seem to be able to talk to chief financial officers or CEOs correctly. And this is something that, when I've spoken to a lot of people, these functions, they can't seem to mesh. So if you're a marketer and you want to influence the right people and be better respected for what you do in the business, then these three stats are things you should know off the top of your head, and they will help you grow your business faster and faster than ever once you've got a handle on them. So I've been a solo marketer for about 5 years of the past decade or so. Outside of that, I've helped brands that are worth tens of billions, some that are worth almost nothing. The fact of the matter is that you need to be able to speak in the language of everyone else around you. Because as marketers, we love talking about impressions, engagement rates, algorithmic changes. You know what? The guy in accounts does not care. He cares about how much you're spending and whether it brings money in. So I'm going to show you the three stats that do matter to those departments and those influences that are going to make up how much your budget is and, whether you're going to be respected or not in the business. Let's go through them. So the first one I'm going to talk about is that particularly if you're a startup business, this number is pretty much what your entire reputation is going to hang on when you start off. And that number is going to be your customer acquisition cost, also known as CAC. This figure will show you how much does it cost for you to gain a new customer as such. So let's say you spend $100,000 on advertising per year and you gain 100 new customers. Let's say you're business to business, you're selling expensive enterprise software. Well, your customer acquisition cost is $1,000. Now, you can either come to the mindset of, okay, that sounds quite expensive, or that's quite good. And this figure alone just gives you a good understanding of, here's how much it costs to actually run the marketing department in some ways. Here's how much it costs to grow the business as a baseline. So it is really your marketing costs divided by the total number of newly acquired customers you'll get over a time frame. And if you're a startup, you may do that on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis. If you're a more mature business, you probably do it on a more cyclical annual basis. But if you can lower your customer acquisition cost, you can probably scale your business faster and faster. And that's what matters, particularly when you're in that startup setup. It's going to be about how quickly you can grow things. And customer acquisition cost, if you can lower that down and keep the same budget, funnily enough, you will be growing faster. So following on from that, one of the other metrics that is going to matter, particularly for you guys in the software world and those of you using lots of advertising, it's going to be ROAS, which is return on advertising spend. Now, ROAS is essentially how much revenue do you generate from advertising. It's the amount of revenue you generate from advertising divided by the cost of advertising. Now, if that number is over 1, you're generating revenue as such, it's profitable pretty much, but you realistically want to have that in the multiples. You want your ROAS to be 5, 10, 20, whatever it may be, because your profit margin is going to be far smaller. But your ROAS is something that, as marketers, if you're spending a lot on advertising, you have to measure this statistic, because your chief financial officer is going to say someday, hey, you spent £100,000 on these adverts. What do we get back from it? And if you can't justify or say a figure at the end of it, people are going to be questioning whether it's worth doing at all, even though in your heart of heart, as a marketer, you know it is working. So if you don't know that fact or number yet, it's one to figure out as soon as you possibly can. Trust me, it will make a world of difference when it comes to communicating with finance departments and anyone else above you who might be a boss and decide how much you get paid next year. But the figure that I always go on about, and I think is the most valuable in the long term if you want to be a serious strategic marketer, is lifetime value, which is how much does a customer generate in revenue for your business over their entire lifetime. And This helps better put into perspective when you have high customer acquisition costs that seem to not make sense. If your company has matured for a few years, you can start to get a better picture of the lifetime value a customer may have. So if you can understand how long a customer may on average transact with you over, let's say, a year. Let's say a customer on average spends $1,000 a year with you, and on average they come back to you for 5 years. They make an annual purchase for 5 years, and then on the 6th year they choose to go elsewhere. Well, your lifetime value of a customer is $5,000. Well, if you can then increase that figure, and you can do different marketing techniques to over time try and increase that benchmark figure to, let's say, 6, you've added a lot of significant business to the bottom line of your company. But you can also better justify some of the things when it comes to acquiring customers. So let's say it cost $1,000 to acquire a customer in the first place, and you sell a product that's $1,000, that people might look at you and think you're mad. But if the profitability is high enough, over the 5 years, that marketing will have more than paid for itself. And that's why across those 3 numbers, you can better explain why you do things and what you're doing, and also help you as a marketer better understand whether what you're doing is actually working or not. And it may be harsh to hear it, but 90% of you aren't actually tracking these things, and you make yourselves look a bit stupid in the long run. So if you want to keep ahead in the world of marketing, I'd suggest clicking the link down in the description, or even checking out this video right here.